I have to apologize for a contradiction that I have created.
Okay. What happened?
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Long time ago,
Uh-huh.
did a podcast episode as general advice, talking to the world, where I said that I thought the double down was the stupidest fucking thing
Oh, no.
I saw. I could not find a singular place that I would ever possibly need it, that I thought it was generally kind of an unfair expectation to put on the dog. Whatever. You guys, I'm sure you could find the episode. I think it's called like the dreaded double down or something.
Yeah. It's like episode 5 or something.
It's an old one. It might be like 20 or 25 or something like that.
Okay.
Right? I have finally found one place that I used it to much success.
Really?
One place. So let's first start off by reiterating my issue with it.
Yes,
Right?
please.
So my issue with it gets into the whole conversation of like the loading sequence and like stopping the dog from thinking about doing things versus actually doing them, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to first start off by saying I still stand very firmly behind that thought of I want to address I want to address choices, not thoughts. There are plenty of times that I think about doing things I shouldn't do, but I don't do them. And I think that in the world we live in, that is all you could ask of anybody or anything.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Okay. So I found a place where it is, we used it to stop a specific behavior that there was absolutely nothing else that we could have done to stop that specific behavior, in my opinion. Right?
Really?
Okay. So we had this dog we worked with recently.
Okay.
His name was Harley, right? Harley did a board and train with us, and dog had all sorts of issues, right? This was 2 months ago maybe, did a board and train with us, did with Bridget specifically, and massive stranger danger issues, super fearful, super anxious, could not be crated at all when the owner left the house, right? He would try to like kind of damage the crate, hurt himself in it, stuff like that, right? So we worked through just issue at a time. He goes home, everything's going really well except the crate.
Okay.
Now, our advice, generally speaking, when it comes to crate nonsense issues, address the problems, right? Excessive demand barking in the crate, biting at the bars, scratching at the crate, things like that, right? Address the specific things the dog does and allow the dog to get used to being in it and settle down, right?
Okay.
But the problem was, and I'm sure most people have seen this before, is that he would drool so excessively in the crate that they would leave him for like an hour and they would come home and the crate pan would just be absolutely full of drool, which is first off disgusting.
Yeah, gross.
Right? Second off, not healthy for them to be standing in and getting themselves all wet. That can create, infections and rashes and like all sorts of things like that. And 3, the owners just felt absolutely awful about it. Just terrible about it.
Yeah.
Right? So we did all the things we normally would do, which is stop all the nonsense, stop 100% of the nonsense. He didn't do anything in the crate except just sit in there and just fucking drool. That's it. Right? Usually we give people, usually with dogs like that, after we address the nonsense, we give it a week, we give it 2 weeks, and usually it kind of settles down and gets better on his own.
Yeah.
Not the case with this guy, right? So we went out there and I'm just kind of playing around with, he's in there. I'm trying to kind of interrupt the state of mind a little bit. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to fucking give it a go. I'm going to give it a go, right? Or actually, you know what it was? Is he started whining at one point, and I corrected him for whining, and he put his head down on his own. And I realized when he put his head down, he went from, the drool was from panting. He's right? He put his head down, and as he put his head down, just naturally, his mouth closes. Right?
Yeah.
So that's when I thought to myself, I was like, fuck.
Oh, man. I know what I have to do.
I didn't want it to be true. I didn't want it to be true, but I knew what I must do.
That's what I was going to say.
So I said, all right. And I didn't even tell, because Bridget's right there with me, right? And Bridget, because like this was a project, and she had crushed it with this client. And these clients fucking love her, right? But like we just couldn't get past this fucking drooling issue, right? So I went out just to provide some extra opinions on it. And I started doing it, and I didn't even tell anybody what I was doing, because like I'm like, Bridget's right here. She's heard me fucking talk so much shit about this double down before. If I'm like, we're going to implement a double down right now, she's going to be like, you fucking piece of shit.
Oh, God.
So I start doing it, right? And sure as shit, fucking totally stops panting. Totally stops panting, right? So we start then simulating leaving the house, and we put a camera on him. Again, everybody, for all of you that don't know, first off, get a fucking iPhone. Second off, use your fucking FaceTime feature with 2 iPhones for any of this shit where you can't see your dog. FaceTime with your laptop and your iPhone, 2 iPhones, whatever, and an e-collar can be your absolute best friend for getting past some really annoying behavioral issues, right? So whatever. So put the camera on him, go outside, same deal. He starts perking up, panting, head up, give that tap, right? Head chills right the fuck back down, right? And then he just fucking laid there. And no panting, no drooling, anything like that. It was amazing. It was amazing, right? So then I instructed them, because again, how are we then going to generalize this, right?
Yeah.
Seeing his sequence of right when you put him in the crate, he starts getting himself spun up. We were able to settle him down. Then as we left, after we left the house and locked the house, it was like 5 minutes. Then he started working himself up again. Then we addressed it. Then it was like 15 minutes of nothing. I said, here's what you need to do. For the next week, you need to set up this same exact drill 20 minutes before you leave the house. Mm-hmm. Make sure that he's totally calm before you go to leave, and then just leave and be gone. Bro, within like 5 days, they emailed Bridget, and they're like, he's not drooling at all. He's just not drooling anymore, right?
Oh my
Was he
gosh.
totally calm in it? Maybe not totally calm in it, but he wasn't fucking drooling anymore, and that was really the only problem, right? Was that he was drooling like fucking crazy. No problem since. That was like fucking like 3.5, 4 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
No problem since. None.
That's just so crazy, man. I remember that episode, dude. You were just...
I was going off on it.
Yeah. We were like watching... We were reacting to some girl that was like all about the double down. And now we got it.
Man. Now, I still, again, giving myself... I got to give myself a little bit here, right?
Okay.
So I still stand firmly behind... I was using it to stop a very specific problem that there was no other solution for, right? Panting is not something the dog can identify and say, oh, I just stop panting and I avoid this correction. Yeah. So I had to use an incompatible behavior, right? Mm-hmm. You cannot pant and have your chin down at the same time.
True.
You just can't. It's impossible, right? I mean, it's probably possible, but panting to the extent of like drool just fucking pouring out of your mouth was pretty darn impossible. And we used it, not that my expectation is going to be he has to have his chin down all the time in the crate. We used it initially for like 2 weeks. Listen, maybe I'm happy to debate the like, was it a little unclear for him maybe? Is the expectation of the crate maybe a little bit unclear? Yeah, probably. That's why I don't like them to begin with, right? But it temporarily broke the pattern of him rehearsing that behavior of just drooling like fucking crazy in the crate. Yep. It stopped his state of mind from fucking spiraling so out of control. And we were able to then loosen up a little bit on the parameters, and now he just doesn't drool in the crate anymore. You know what I mean? Like it worked amazing. It truly worked amazingly.